All right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to take some time and we are going to learn how to add polynomials. So we're going to split this up. It's kind of two sections out of one. We're going to concentrate on adding polynomials, and then we're going to look at subtracting polynomials the next day. So for number one, the easiest way that can teach us is as follows. Now sometimes we may be unlucky and have the information out of order, and that's what we talked about previously, standard form. So if you notice, you got x squared, you got x to the first, and you got no x's, so exponent of 0, so 2, 1, 0, that's beautiful. But if you notice over here, it doesn't follow that same strategy. Now some teachers may require you to fix that order, but I'm not going to do so. I'm just going to ask you to identify the like terms. And this is what you did the other day on a basic worksheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my x squareds and I'm going to circle my x squareds. And I'm going to go ahead and add them up because it's a nice plus sign. So I've got 3x squared plus 1x squared. I know that that is going to be 4x squared. So I want to add that up, and I'm just going to write down what I got. I got 4x squared. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with my x's, but this time I'm going to use a different shape, and I'm going to use my box here. Now you may have done very similar ideas with your 7th grade teacher, trying to keep those terms separate, the unlike terms separate. So I've got a positive 8x and a positive 5x. Notice how there's no plus sign, minus sign, so I know it's positive. I am adding still. Today I'm adding. So I add them up and I get a positive 13x. And then of course I repeat the process. You can use a triangle, you can use a heart, a goldfish if you want. I'm going to go ahead and use triangle. Maybe you want to use a zigzag. That wasn't that great. -4 and -1. Now some of you may want to use your number line if you're still struggling with that, all the way back from chapter 1 or even 7th grade, and that's a strategy you can use. Start at -4 on the number line, and then it says -1, so it means you're going to go left 1, or you can just add them together. Think about money. You borrow $4 and you borrow $1, so you got -$5. And then we got our basic answer. Let's try our next one. We're going to jump to number 4. And again, it's the exact same strategy. So I'm going to start with my x squareds first. So I go ahead, I'm going to circle it. You can start with a box first if you want. It's totally up to you. Just as long as you keep your shapes different from your different terms. So this time I have a positive 4 plus a -6. So you really got to remember some of those skills. So if you want to use the number line, you start at positive 4, and then you go left 6 because it says -6. So that's going to give me -2x squared. Now the reason I'm starting with my x squareds is because I notice that's my biggest exponent, and I want my answer to be in standard form. So even though this part of the problem is not in standard form, my answer needs to be in standard form. Then I do the x's, so I'm going to box this, and this one. I add them together, and -3 plus a 7 is going to give me a positive 4x. And then my last part, again, you choose which shape you would like. I've got a triangle, -2 and a -5. If you notice, I'm working really hard to get my negatives in the actual shape. I've had students, for whatever, when they do their shapes, they only maybe use a triangle around the 2 and the 5, so they don't remember the negative sign. So that gives me a -7. You should be catching on pretty quick. It should be basic. This is a way to get some really good points for your grade. Let's try this one. Give you a little bit of time to work ahead of me. Remember, start with your biggest exponent first, and then progress down, decreasing exponents. So I'm going to circle the b squareds. Don't forget the -7 part of it. And positive 3 is always nice. So I got a negative 7 plus a 3, and you should have been able to get a negative 4b squared there. Now the next one, some students could make some mistakes, so I'm going to go ahead and write a little 1 there, Juan, to help me out. Now I've got a negative 1 plus a negative 1. Now there's no way those can cross out, so don't say that I'm just going to cross them out. Remember, that's a negative 1 and a positive 1 would be able to cross out. A negative 1 and a negative 1 gives me a negative 2b. I'd like you to notice how the variables are staying the same, which means it's staying b squared, it's staying b. I'm not messing with the exponents at all. Just really working with the coefficients. Then my last numbers, negative 6 and a positive 1. Negative 6 plus 1 gives me a negative 5. Beautiful. All right, we just got one more, kind of a challenge. There are some challenge problems towards the end of this worksheet. But again, it's just a way to get you working on adding. Essentially, it's just like terms. You're adding like terms. That's all we're doing. All right, so this one, obviously a lot more challenging. You want to make sure it is the exact same term. So if you notice, this one says ab squared, and this one says a squared b. Those are not the same. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. There we go. So obviously I could not circle those. They are not the same. Now one thing you may have trouble with is identifying which one is the bigger item that has to go first. Now when it's like this, I really don't really care. You may think, oh, the b squareds, there's more b's, so those should go in the back. There's more a's, so those should go in the front. It's really just up to you. It's probably going to be a multiple choice question anyways, so that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and decide to start with my a squared because there's more a's and less b's. And then I have to look for the exact same one, a squared b. No a squared b. That's a good one. Has to be the exact same thing. Same variables, same exponents. And then, of course, I'm just going to add them together. A positive 5 plus a positive 8. So that's going to give me a positive 13. And I keep it the same. A squared b. Now you make a choice. Do you want to do less a's or more a's? I'm going to go ahead and choose this one because it has a squared as well. But again, it probably really doesn't matter. Probably a multiple choice question anyways. So on my other trinomial, I'm going to look for a squared b squared. And I did find it right here, a squared b squared. So I combine them. I've got a negative 7 plus a 5. Combining those like terms will give me a negative 2. And it stays a squared b squared. Remember, don't try and change it when you're adding or subtracting. And then my last one, of course, I'm going to go ahead and use my triangle. I have a positive 4ab squared and a negative 4ab squared. Got a funky triangle here. Now they have the same variable, ab squared, a positive 4, and a negative 4. You guys remember what to do? That's right, let's cross them out because they are opposites. So it means my answer is this information right here. All right, so you're going to do the remaining problems on your worksheet, and you're going to be awesome.